Emma Thompson believed that looking successful was the most important thing in the world. She worked as a lawyer in London, and every time she had to travel for work, she wore the same type of clothes. She always chose tight pencil skirts that made it hard to walk, high heels that hurt her feet, and blazers that made her shoulders feel sore. Her suitcase was always so heavy because she packed clothes that looked expensive and important, but wearing them felt like being trapped in a cage. On this particular Tuesday morning, the weather was cold and grey. Emma stood at Heathrow Airport, trying to manage her heavy luggage while wearing her uncomfortable outfit. Her feet were already hurting from the stiletto heels she had chosen to wear. The tight skirt round her legs made it almost impossible to walk quickly, and she needed to hurry because she was running late for her flight to Edinburgh. This flight was very important to Emma. She had a big meeting in Edinburgh that could change her entire career. If the meeting went well, she might get promoted to a better position. If it went badly, she might lose her job. The pressure made her feel nervous and worried. When Emma reached the security checkpoint, everything started to go wrong. Her metal belt buckle made the alarm go off. Then her jewelry made it beep again. Her shoe buckles also set off the security alarm. She watched other passengers walk through security quickly and easily while she stood there. Feeling embarrassed and frustrated, the security guard was polite but firm. "Miss, you'll need to remove those boots too," he said. Emma felt her heart sink. She looked round and saw other travelers staring at her. Some people looked annoyed because she was taking so long. Others looked sorry for her. Her face turned bright red with embarrassment. She felt like everyone in the airport was watching her struggle. She had to take off her belt, her jewelry, and her boots. Each item had to be placed in a separate tray. The process took much longer than she had expected. By the time she finished putting everything back on, she realized she had spent too much time at security. Emma tried to run to her gate, but her tight skirt made it almost impossible to move quickly. Her heavy bag bounced behind her as she hurried through the airport. Her high heels clicked loudly on the floor, and she could feel blisters forming on her feet. She was breathing heavily and felt very stressed. When she finally reached her gate, she saw that the door was already closed. The airplane was still there, but the staff would not let her board. She had missed her flight by just a few minutes. Emma stood at the gate window, watching her airplane pull away from the terminal. She felt something break inside her heart. This was not just about missing one flight. This was about her entire life. She looked down at her expensive, uncomfortable clothes and had a sudden realization. These clothes were not just making her miss flights. They were making her miss life itself. She had been so focused on looking successful that she had forgotten about feeling successful. She had been so worried about what other people thought of her appearance that she had stopped caring about her own comfort and happiness. For the first time in many years, Emma sat down on an airport bench and began to cry. She was not crying just because she missed her flight. She was crying because she was tired of pretending to be someone she was not. She was tired of choosing how things looked over how things felt. She was tired of running through life wearing shoes that hurt her feet and chasing dreams that hurt her heart. As she sat there crying, Emma realized that she had been living her life like she was wearing clothes that did not fit her properly. She had been trying so hard to look like the perfect lawyer that she had forgotten to be a happy person. She had been so focused on impressing other people that she had stopped impressing herself. The airport was busy around her. People were rushing to catch flights, meeting family members, and starting new adventures. But Emma felt very alone. She felt like she had been wearing a costume for so long that she had forgotten who she really was underneath it all. She thought about her childhood, when she used to wear comfortable clothes and run round without worrying about how she looked. She remembered when she was happy just being herself. Now, she felt like she was trapped in a life that looked good from the outside but felt terrible from the inside. Emma wiped her tears and made a decision. Something had to change. She could not continue living this way. She needed to find a way to be successful without sacrificing her happiness and comfort. Emma sat in the airport cafe feeling very sad and lost. Her flight to Edinburgh was gone, and there would not be another plane until the next morning. She was still wearing her tight, uncomfortable clothes that had caused her so much trouble at security. Her feet hurt from her high heels, and her skirt felt like it was squeezing her too tightly. She ordered a cup of tea and sat alone at a small table, feeling sorry for herself. The cafe was busy with travelers eating meals and waiting for their flights. Emma watched people walking by and noticed that most of them looked much more comfortable than she did. They wore soft clothes and shoes that looked easy to walk in. She felt jealous of their comfort and freedom. "Mind if I sit here, love?" asked a cheerful voice. Emma looked up to see an older woman standing beside her table. The woman appeared to be in her 60s and had the kindest eyes Emma had ever seen. Her smile was warm and genuine, like sunshine on a cloudy day. What struck Emma most was how comfortable the woman looked. She was wearing dark blue jeans that fit her perfectly, walking shoes that looked well-worn but sturdy, and a soft cardigan that appeared both practical and elegant. "I'm Margaret," the woman said as she settled into the chair across from Emma. "I couldn't help but notice you looked a bit upset. Are you having travel troubles?" Emma was surprised by the stranger's kindness. Most people in airports were too busy or too stressed to notice other people's problems. But Margaret seemed different. She had a calm, peaceful energy that made Emma feel safe. Emma found herself telling Margaret everything that had happened. She talked about missing her flight because her clothes had slowed her down at security. She explained how uncomfortable her outfit was and how embarrassed she felt. Then, without really meaning to, Emma started talking about deeper things. She told Margaret about feeling trapped in a life that looked successful from the outside, but felt empty and painful from the inside. Margaret listened carefully to every word Emma said. She did not interrupt or try to give quick advice. She just listened with patience and understanding, nodding her head at the right moments and making small sounds of sympathy, "Dear," Margaret said when Emma finished talking. "I used to dress just like you when I traveled. I thought I had to look a certain way to be taken seriously by other people. I believed that if I did not wear expensive, formal clothes, people would not respect me or think I was important." Emma was surprised to hear this. Margaret looked so comfortable and confident that it was hard to imagine her ever feeling the way Emma felt now. But then I realized something very important. Margaret continued, "The journey is just as important as the destination. If you are uncomfortable during your journey, you cannot enjoy where you are going." Margaret began to tell Emma stories about her travels around the world. Her eyes lit up as she spoke about walking through the beautiful streets of Paris wearing comfortable shoes that let her explore for hours without pain. She described sitting in peaceful parks in Rome, wearing clothes that allowed her to breathe deeply and relax. She talked about climbing mountains in Scotland, dressed for adventure and discovery rather than for show. "I learned that when you dress for your journey, you are really dressing for your life," Margaret said. "Comfort is not about giving up or being lazy. Comfort is about giving yourself permission to truly live and experience everything life has to offer." As Margaret continued sharing her stories, Emma felt something changing inside her. She had not laughed in months, but Margaret's funny travel tales and gentle wisdom made her smile, and then laugh out loud. Margaret told her about getting lost in small Italian villages while wearing comfortable walking shoes, about dancing at street festivals in Spain while wearing flowing, breathable clothes, about making friends with locals in cafes round the world because she felt relaxed and open. Emma realized that Margaret's stories were filling her with a longing she did not know she had. It was a longing for freedom, for authenticity, for a life where she could move freely through the world without worrying about how she looked to other people. She wanted to experience the joy and adventure that Margaret described. "I have been living my life like I am wearing clothes that do not fit me," Emma said quietly. Margaret smiled and reached across the table to pat Emma's hand gently. "The beautiful thing about life, dear, is that you can always change your clothes, and you can always choose to start living differently, starting right now." As the evening continued, Emma felt lighter than she had in years. Margaret's kindness and wisdom had shown her a different way of living, and for the first time in a long time, Emma felt hopeful about the future. The next morning, Emma walked through the airport to board her rescheduled flight to Edinburgh. She was still wearing the same uncomfortable business clothes from the day before: the tight skirt, the painful high heels, and the blazer that made her shoulders ache. But something deep inside her had changed during her conversation with Margaret the night before. She carried Margaret's kind words in her heart like a warm, glowing light that made her feel less alone. Emma found her seat on the airplane and noticed the young man sitting next to her. He appeared to be in his late 20s with friendly eyes and a relaxed smile. He was wearing comfortable dark jeans, a soft sweater that looked very cozy, and sturdy shoes that seemed like they could take him on any adventure. Instead of a heavy suitcase like Emma's, he had only a small backpack that fit easily in the overhead compartment. Everything about him seemed calm and at ease. "First time to Edinburgh?" the young man asked with a warm, friendly smile as Emma struggled to sit down comfortably in her tight skirt. "No, but it feels like it," Emma replied, surprising herself with her honest answer. Usually, she would have given a polite, professional response. But something about this stranger made her want to be truthful. "I'm David," he said. "I'm a teacher from Yorkshire. I'm going to Edinburgh to visit some schools and learn about their teaching methods." Emma introduced herself and explained that she was traveling for business. As they talked, she learned that David taught children in a small village school and loved his work even though it did not pay very much money. He spoke about his students with such joy and passion that Emma felt envious of his happiness. As the plane prepared for a takeoff, Emma watched David settle comfortably into his seat. He adjusted his position easily and seemed completely relaxed. Emma, on the other hand, struggled with her tight skirt that made it hard to sit properly. Her high heels were digging into her feet, and her blazer felt like it was squeezing her chest too tightly. When the plane lifted off the ground, Emma felt her usual anxiety about flying begin to build. But this time, it seemed much worse than normal. Her restrictive clothing was making everything more difficult. She could not breathe deeply because her blazer was too tight round her chest. She could not relax her legs because her skirt was too narrow. She could not find a comfortable position because every part of her outfit was fighting against her body. When the plane hit some turbulence and began to shake, Emma felt her anxiety spike to dangerous levels. Her heart started beating very fast, and she felt like she could not get enough air into her lungs. Her hands began to shake, and she felt dizzy and scared. David noticed her distress immediately. He turned to look at her with concerned eyes. "Are you all right?" he asked gently, his voice full of kindness and worry. Emma wanted to say that she was fine, as she always did when people asked. She wanted to pretend that everything was perfect, as she had been doing for years. But the words that came out of her mouth were different. I don't think I am," Emma admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Without any hesitation, David reached into his small backpack and pulled out a soft, oversized cardigan. It was made of the most comfortable-looking material Emma had ever seen, in a gentle grey colour that seemed very calming. "Here, put this on," David said, offering the cardigan to Emma. "Sometimes we all need a little comfort." Emma wrapped the cardigan round her shoulders, and something magical happened. For the first time in years, she felt like she could breathe properly. The soft fabric was like receiving a warm hug from a good friend. She felt her anxiety slowly fade away as the comfort of the cardigan surrounded her. Her tight blazer was still underneath, but the cardigan created a layer of softness and peace that made everything better. "Thank you," Emma whispered, feeling tears of gratitude in her eyes. "We all need help sometimes," David said with a gentle smile. "That's what makes us human. We're not supposed to go through life struggling alone." During the rest of the flight, Emma and David talked about many things. They discussed dreams and fears, hopes and disappointments. David talked about the courage it takes to change your life when you realize you're not happy. Emma talked about the difference between looking successful and feeling successful. She realized that David, wearing his simple, comfortable clothes, seemed more confident and content than she had ever felt in all her expensive outfits. As the plane flew through the clouds toward Edinburgh, Emma felt something shifting inside her heart. She was beginning to understand that true success might have nothing to do with how you look and everything to do with how you feel. Emma's business meeting in Edinburgh went much better than she had expected. The clients liked her ideas, and they agreed to work with her company on a big project. Normally, Emma would have been very excited about this success and would have rushed back to London immediately. Tell her boss the good news. But something had changed inside her heart during the past day. Instead of hurrying home, she decided to do something she had never done before. She decided to stay an extra day in Edinburgh just to explore the city. Emma had been to Edinburgh many times for work, but she had never actually seen the city. She had always gone straight from the airport to her hotel, then to her meetings, and then back to the airport. She had never walked through the streets or visited the famous places that tourists loved to see. For the first time in many years, Emma went shopping. But not for the usual things. She did not look for power suits, or expensive shoes or formal blazers. Instead, she searched for comfortable walking shoes and clothes that would let her move freely and easily. She found a lovely shop that sold casual clothes, and she bought soft blue jeans that fit her perfectly, a warm sweater that felt like a cloud against her skin, and the most comfortable walking shoes she had ever owned. Emma changed into her new clothes in her hotel room and looked at herself in the mirror. She almost did not recognize the person looking back at her. She looked relaxed and natural, like a completely different person from the stressed, uncomfortable woman who had arrived in Edinburgh just one day earlier. Dressed in her new, comfortable clothes, Emma walked through Edinburgh's beautiful old streets. The city was full of history and charm, with ancient buildings and narrow cobblestone paths that had been there for hundreds of years. She climbed the long, winding path up to Edinburgh Castle, something she had always wanted to do but had never had time for. Her comfortable shoes made the climb easy and enjoyable. She sat on park benches to feed the ducks in the peaceful ponds, watching families and couples enjoying their day. She explored little shops full of interesting things, browsing through books and crafts and local treasures. She did not worry about wrinkling her clothes or scuffing her shoes because her new outfit was meant for living, not just for looking good. Emma felt like a completely different person. She felt lighter, as if a heavy weight had been lifted from her shoulders. She felt happier than she had been in years. She felt more alive and awake than she could remember feeling since she was a child. For the first time in a very long time, she was not performing the role of successful lawyer Emma. She was not trying to impress anyone or prove anything to anyone. She was just Emma, and that felt absolutely wonderful. She walked for hours, discovering parts of the city she had never seen before. She stopped at a small cafe and ordered tea and cake, sitting by the window and watching people walk by. She realized that she had been missing so much of life by always being in a hurry and always being uncomfortable. That evening, Emma returned to her hotel room and decided to call her mother. She had not spoken to her mother in several weeks because she had been so busy with work. She turned on the video call on her phone, and when her mother's face appeared on the screen, Emma saw her mother's eyes widen with surprise. "Emma, is that you?" her mother asked, sounding shocked. "You look so different, so happy and relaxed." "I feel different, Mom," Emma said, looking at herself in the hotel room mirror while she talked. Her face was relaxed and peaceful. Her eyes were bright and full of life. She was wearing the most comfortable clothes she had ever owned, and she felt like herself for the first time in years. "You look like my little girl again," her mother said, and Emma could see tears forming in her mother's eyes. "You look like the Emma who used to run through fields and climb trees and laugh all the time." I had almost forgotten that Emma existed. Emma felt tears in her own eyes as she realized what her mother meant. She had been so focused on becoming successful that she had lost the happy, free-spirited person she used to be. She had traded her authentic self for a professional image that looked good but felt terrible. Emma realized that changing how she dressed for travel was not really about clothes at all. It was about changing how she approached life's journey. She had been so focused on looking like she was playing the part of a successful person that she had forgotten to actually live the part of a high person. That night, Emma made a decision that would change everything about her future. She was going to stop dressing for other people's expectations and start dressing for her own happiness and comfort. 6 months later, Emma stood in the same airport where her life had completely changed. But everything about her was different now. She was no longer a lawyer who felt trapped in uncomfortable clothes and an uncomfortable life. She had quit her job and become a travel writer, following her dream of exploring the world and sharing her experiences with others. Today, she was about to board a plane to begin a new adventure in Spain, where she would write about the beautiful villages and the kind people she would meet. Emma looked down at her small suitcase, which was so light she could easily carry it herself. Inside, she had packed comfortable clothes that could take her anywhere she wanted to go. She wore soft layers that could adapt to any kind of weather, sturdy shoes that could walk on any path, and a genuine smile that reflected the inner peace she had found. Her outfit was simple but perfect: comfortable jeans, a soft sweater, and a light jacket that she could remove if the weather got warm. As Emma settled into her seat on the airplane, she felt grateful for how much her life had changed. She no longer dreaded flying or traveling. Instead, she looked forward to every journey as a new opportunity for discovery and growth. She was comfortable in her own skin and in her own clothes. While she was getting comfortable in her seat, Emma noticed a young woman sitting across the aisle who looked very familiar. The woman was struggling with heavy bags that were too big for her to manage easily. She was wearing uncomfortable high heels that made her feet hurt, and a tight business suit that looked expensive but seemed to make her miserable. The woman looked stressed, anxious, and unhappy, just like Emma had been 6 months ago. Emma's heart filled with compassion as she watched the young woman. She remembered exactly how it felt to be trapped in clothes that looked professional but felt like a prison. She remembered the pain of wearing shoes that hurt her feet and the exhaustion of carrying heavy luggage everywhere she went. Emma reached into her small travel bag and pulled out a soft, beautiful scarf that she had bought during one of her recent trips. It was made of the softest material and had a lovely pattern that always made her feel calm and happy. "Excuse me," Emma said gently, leaning toward the young woman across the aisle. "I noticed you looked a bit uncomfortable. This scarf might help you feel more at ease during the flight." The young woman looked surprised by the kind gesture from a stranger. Her eyes showed that she was not used to people being so thoughtful and caring. "Thank you. That's very kind of you," she said gratefully. "I'm having a really difficult day. I'm Emma," she said with a warm, understanding smile. "And I know exactly how you feel. I have been exactly where you are right now." As the plane took off and soared into the sky, Emma and the young woman began to talk. The woman told Emma that her name was Lucy, and she was a lawyer who felt trapped in her job and her life. She was always stressed, always uncomfortable, and always trying to look perfect for other people. Emma told Lucy about her own journey of transformation. She shared the story of how she had missed her flight 6 months ago because of her uncomfortable clothes and heavy luggage. She told Lucy about Margaret, the kind older woman who had taught her that comfort was not about giving up, but about giving yourself permission to truly live. She told Lucy about David, the gentle teacher who had shared his cardigan and shown her that accepting help was part of being human. "You know," Emma said as they flew through the white clouds, "I used to think that success meant looking like I had everything together on the outside. But I learned that real success is feeling like you have everything together on the inside, where it actually counts." Lucy wrapped Emma's soft scarf around her shoulders and smiled for the first time during the flight. The scarf made her feel warmer and more comfortable, just like Margaret's wisdom and David's kindness had made Emma feel months ago. "Maybe it's time for me to make some changes too," Lucy said thoughtfully. "I'm tired of living for other people's expectations instead of my own happiness." Emma looked out the airplane window at the beautiful world below them. She felt grateful for the difficult journey that had brought her to this moment of peace and purpose. She had learned that life, like travel, is not just about reaching your destination. It is about being comfortable enough in your own skin to enjoy every single step of the journey. As the plane continued flying towards Spain, Emma felt proud that she could now help other people the way Margaret and David had helped her. She had learned that the most beautiful journey is the one that leads you back home to yourself.